Hey everybody, it's Harlan. We're going to start right on time with Harris here. I'm going to be giving, well, you're the co-host, but just in case, I'm going to give you permission to share your screen. Let me just point out that because a bunch of people could be on the call, we would love for you to put your questions in chat. Or if you look down at the bottom, you probably have something that says more. And if you look at more, you may have the ability, or under React, you can raise your hand. If not, just put it in the chat. I'll keep my eye on the chat and we'll ask the question rather than just interrupting. Okay, so our goal today is to start talking, beginning the discussion about which AIs are good for image generation, which are not particularly good for image generation. And even when the images, should be good for image generation, what do you do when the image generation messes up? Now, in a lot of cases, it can be user error. I was creating images right before I got on the call, and guess what? Made a bunch of user errors with consistent characters. We'll be talking about that as we go along, but it's my hope that you come away with something here. And we're going to go in, just my opinion, from simple to complex and let you see what's going on. So my instructions to Harris were essentially, let's deal with one particular prompt and let's see how the prompt does. Now, in this particular situation, I was looking for the prompt to be photorealistic. In other words, I would love if someone looking at this prompt said, okay, how do I how can I get a photorealistic image out of this prompt? So the prompt essentially is that a guy is proposing to his girlfriend. They are in a park, I guess. He is supposed to be kneeling down with flowers and a ring. Is that what you started with, Harris?
Kneeling down on one knee with flowers, proposing for marriage, and then there's some stuff in the background too, and you know.
Okay. But we didn't get into like her slapping him in the face and saying, no, it's
No, it
not
was just that
happening.
frozen moment of the proposal.
Proposal. We don't see like any smile. We don't see afterwards the embrace. We don't see um, the people in her family holding the shotgun on it. We don't see any of that stuff. We just see the basic prompts. So, when OpenAI announced Dall-E, there was a lot of excitement because, after all, OpenAI were the creators of ChatGPT. And if they could do such a great job with ChatGPT, certainly with their image generator, Dall-E we would we would be seeing something really good. So how about, Harris, you share your screen and let's take a look at Dall-E and the prompt that follows, and let's talk about it.
Okay, sure. Okay. This should be this. Okay, so
Hold on, here we are. Give everybody a minute to take a look at it. You see on the bottom is the prompt that Harris used. Okay. Before anybody says anything, how about in the chat, rate this picture on a scale of 1 to 10. Give a 1 to 10 as a photorealistic image of the prompt. Rate
should
it.
I vote? Should
Remember,
I vote
nobody's,
too?
huh?
Should I
No, you
vote
don't
too?
get to vote. Daniel says 8. Jim says 1 on a good day. Charles says 5. It's too bright, shiny, and cartoony. Eric says 5. Nina says 3. Elizabeth isn't voting. Elizabeth said question mark. Oh,
Oh,
a
look how
7. You
generous
are so
Elizabeth is.
generous, Elizabeth. Pete says a 4. The background is not good. Okay. So, Harris, what do you think?
So Dolly, now of course, anything any opinions I give are just my opinions. Dolly, I find, is the most limiting of the AI generators at the moment. It came out and it's integrated with Chat GPT. So it's very good for when you're using Chat GPT to pull up a quick image and whatnot, but it fails in a lot of ways. It's not bad at art, but it does not do photorealism very well at all. And okay, so there's different types of prompting. There's narrative
Oh,
prompting.
hold on,
And
hold on, hold on, hold on.
sure.
Let's take a look at the fact of what it messed up. Number one, it's a marriage proposal. Dall-E saw marriage and put her in a wedding gown. It says flowers, and apparently the flowers um, are now growing out of her gown as well. Um, it must have been Halloween because she's wearing black vampire lipstick on her lips.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's funny.
But, you know, Elizabeth, you were very generous. Okay, now go on and talk about what you were doing before I
So,
interrupt you.
so um, Dolly, there's really two types of prompting for images. There's narrative prompting, which is where we type like a paragraph like this has. And then there's what's called comma separated prompting, which is where we have ideas that go into the prompt that are separated by commas, not really complete sentences. So Dolly takes that and oftentimes will change it, add to it. That's part of just Dolly. If you go to a picture on Dolly, after you create it, you can see the actual prompt. But Dolly, I think, is more of a fun thing for people using ChatGPT and they want to make like a cool picture, but not something that is really set up for social media or especially professional work, unless you're doing a particular style that Dolly is good at. Dolly is not bad at artistic stuff, but I find narrative prompts a little bit limiting in that it tells the AI stuff that's not a snapshot of the visual image. It's talking about, they have a certain demeanor and a radiant expression. The man exudes sincerity. So this prompt was taken from other prompts that I then had ChatGPT change around for the picture that Harlan wanted. But
Okay. Now, by the way, Pete points out that it doesn't say anything about a ring. It's supposed to be a ring and a bouquet of flowers.
it probably got too long and I had to shorten it down. So if you use a prompt that has too many tokens, sometimes it will not, you know, get to the end. So
Yes. Chat is notorious for economizing on everything, including text. You've got to give it tiny little pieces. Okay. Um, anything more to say about Dall-E? Dall-E had a reputation as being good at generating memes, but I have to tell you that every time now I want to go and generate a meme with Dall-E and have it spell something, um, it is really atrocious. It's
I would agree
really
with
atrocious.
Jim's vote of a one. So I'm not impressed with Dolly, but you know, it's a really good starter thing for someone who's just getting into prompting to kind of learn a little bit, you know. So you know, it's the
But
oldest model, I believe.
if you were doing AI, if you were going to be doing using these images for AI video, Dall-E would probably be the last of the image generators that I would want to use.
You'll
Okay.
certainly be prompting over and over to get the picture you want.
All right. Let's go take a look at who's up next. Midjourney. Yes.
Uh, we can talk about that, stable diffusion, which Flux, whichever one you want.
Let's go to Midjourney next.
Okay. So now notice this prompt is phrases. Okay. Midjourney can do both, but Midjourney originally was what we call comma separated prompting. So if you notice, we talk about the subject in the beginning, right? Then the style is mentioned, and then we have a lot of stylizers, which are words that talk about, you know, if it's going to look like a photo or an artistic thing, or if it has warm lighting or whatever. So as you can see, the ending there is to make it photorealistic. But if you notice that although it looks decently photorealistic, it's got some nice lighting, it looks pretty intricate. He's not on his knee, so the prompt adherence uh, was not really there on that particular prompt. Now all
Okay.
four.
Hold on. It doesn't say one knee. First, ignoring the one knee. All right. Let's get the judges voting on this image on a scale of 1 to 10. Type in what your vote is. I need a number. Charles, you aren't here before you came in as it. Give it a rating of 1 to 10. Eric is a 6. Lise is an 8. Nina is a 5. Um, Pete says 3. There's no indication that it's a proposal. Daniel says 6. Keep going. Elizabeth is holding back her vote.
I'd probably give it a 7. That would be my photorealistic vote for that particular picture. Prompt adherence was not perfect though.
Okay, so what did you do to improve this?
Okay, so Midjourney to a limited degree and Stable Diffusion to a much greater degree can use weighting. So what I just did is I made the first part of the prompt more important. So here you can see the new one. The prompt is exactly the same, but down here on the second line after woman, notice that I put a colon with a 1.5. And what that does is it makes everything before that 50% more important, right? So now it does have him on one knee. So all it really took to change that prompt right? Because we don't want to just make pictures over and over and over hoping for the right one. We want to revise our prompt every time to get it better and better. All that one picture needed was a little bit of waiting to press that first phrase up a little. So
Now, now, did you try anything else other than waiting?
I tried making more pictures with the same prompt, but
Okay.
the waiting is
Uh,
what worked. It was the
did
waiting
you
changing.
or did you change the order as we talked about, the order of the
No,
prompting?
no.
Okay, you just waited it. Okay, rate this one. Rate the new one. What do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10? Tell me, Scott. We're voting on 1 to 10. What do you think? Jim says 8. Nina says 6. Nina is a tough character here. Lise gives it a
Nice
7.5.
granularity there, 7.5. I like that.
Elizabeth 7. Um, Pete still not on one knee. Well, actually, his left knee is down, or is it his right knee is down?
His
One
right
of his
knee.
knees is down, and no ring. That's because Harris um, Harris has decided that to cut down on carbon emissions, we aren't going to use rings anymore because they're unnatural. We're going to use flowers. So,
Flowers.
so he left out the ring part of the prompt. Okay. Scott says 7 to 8. Daniel says 6. Suit
So
outline doesn't look like a reflection necessarily.
also, it's an illusion of him on his knee because he's the same height as her still, right? So he is on a knee, but it doesn't really look totally like he's on his knee, but somewhat. So
Well, maybe he's really tall
tall.
and she's
Could
really short.
be. Yeah, it could be.
Scott says he plays for the Knicks. Okay. You can tell a New Yorker when you hear one. Okay. So what's up next in the world?
So here's a picture from Stable Diffusion. Now, Stable Diffusion is an interesting generator because while the quality out of the box needs a little refinement with upscalers and whatnot, it has the most versatile prompting because it has an extremely accurate weighting. Uh, like it takes the prompt and does the weights really, really well. So notice that up here in the beginning, I have a parentheses with the first part and then 1.3, then some other things, then something else with 1.2. If it's just parentheses, it's 1.1. And so this allows us to really tune up the prompt a lot if you want to spend a lot of time on the picture. Let's say I wanted a little more film grain, I could put that up to 1.3. Let's say it was missing the background, I could increase that. Let's say that um, uh, something in parentheses was too much, right? I could put 0.8 to
Now,
reduce that in the
now,
prompt.
um how did she get flowers too?
Poor prompt adherence for that particular iteration. So I was trying to do kind of like a real test. I didn't make like 100 pictures and cherry pick them. I just uh, went for that one to
Okay,
show
so
how
what
close
would
it
you do?
gets.
Now, she's also wearing a veil and a wedding dress, and she's kneeling too.
Yes. So
So
um,
how would you fix this? Can you bring up Stable Diffusion, try and fix it live?
other ones I could try to fix. Stable Diffusion, unfortunately, since it runs on my computer, if I'm running that, I have
Oh,
an
you won't be able
impossible
to
to
do both.
stream. Yeah, yeah. I would probably put proposing marriage to a woman standing in front of him. I would have just probably refined the prompt with the
Would you
text.
would you would you say how she's dressed?
You could. Now, another thing you could do, and this is part
Which
of what
which which avoids her being in a wedding gown
I
with a
have
veil.
I have flowing dress down there. But if this was something that I was working on, I would probably next have, because Stable Diffusion has so many tools, I would have just in painted the flowers out of the picture, right? Let's say I got her standing up, but she was still holding flowers. I could just paint over that and then prompt for grass, and that would vanish. So that's one way of fixing it.
Right, but it also has her still in a wedding dress with a veil.
Right. So you could in paint her and put her in a different dress if you wanted. You can in painting could allow you to do a lot of things, as well as I would have probably done some face restoration on the faces where you just paint over the face and it generates the face and then shrinks it down through a process called super sampling to make it really, really detailed. But again, I was just going for, we're comparing the generators. Here's the same prompt basically in different forms, and here's what it put out. So,
Okay. Vote on this picture. Vote on this picture. Yes, we know that she's wearing her wedding gown to her proposal, and she's gotten flowers. He probably had two bouquets and she ripped one out. But the picture, Jim says 8 out of 10. Scott says 8. Nina goes up to an 8. Charles goes up to an 8. Um, And Pete says this is a 6 because the background is actually very sharp and realistic. Shame no ring. And she's not standing up. She's kneeling too.
so good eye, Pete. I used something called Detailed Diamond. It's a node in Comfy where I turn down a sigma and it brings out the background more. So very good eye there.
Okay, background is good, Elizabeth says. 7. Eric has not given us a number. Now he gives us the 7. Okay, so what do we go to now? Stable diffusion is kind of funny because the real stable diffusion requires a very, very power hungry computer, a very advanced PC. It is possible if you have the latest Mac, you can get stable diffusion to run on the Mac, but you need to have literally the latest. You cannot run the full stable diffusion from your phone or from your iPad or Kindle or any of those other devices. It's just not going to work. Um, so there are um, there are workarounds. There are sites that let you access stable diffusion online. But can you discuss those sites and what they lack, Harris? The ones who
Sure.
want to.
So Run Diffusion is one of those sites. So when you log on, you turn on your server, which then costs like 50 cents an hour, a minute an hour, a dollar an hour, $2 an hour, depending on, the speed of the server you get. Now, the one online, okay, so Stable Diffusion has used to run through a program called Automatic 1111, but now it really runs through something called Comfy UI, which allows you to really customize the process. I can have it generate the picture, upscale it, flip it horizontally, do whatever many processes that you want, and you can kind of control them in a graph. And but as far as online, I'm not exactly sure how much of that is available. I know a lot of it is. Another thing is that there's a lot of models. There's 1,000 models now for Stable Diffusion, fine-tuned on every possible thing you could think of, photorealism, anime, and an online service might not have all of those models. And some of them allow you to upload models, but when you're running it at home, you can choose upscalers and all sorts of other things. And lastly, Stable Diffusion is very popular because it's not censored. Now, this doesn't mean that you're making, naked or graphic pictures, but as Harlan pointed out the other day, he in Midjourney tried to make a picture of a woman bending over to feed a stray cat in her yard. Well, it said no, you can't say bending over. So he had to revise the prompt. So things like that aren't really
We
present.
we we had this morning, Elizabeth and I were working together, and she wanted to do a picture of a mother um, changing a baby's diaper, and they said that it violated the terms of service.
Changing a baby's diaper?
Yep,
Wow. Okay.
because it was baby and diaper, and the baby was probably going to be seen, and Lord
Babies wear
knows what
diapers.
someone
I
would
don't
do.
know. They over censor a lot.
Just so I don't remember what we did. Um, I think we had it. We changed it to the mother holding a baby wrapped in a blanket, and that went through without a problem.
Interesting.
And Elizabeth said, yes, that's what we did. Okay, so then we have Flux.
Okay. So Stable Diffusion runs through something called Comfy UI now. So does Flux. Flux is in the Stable Diffusion ecosystem. It's run by the same software, and it's not made by Stability, but it's become known as Stable Diffusion 3, sort of, because Stable Diffusion 3 kind of flopped, and then Flux came out. So now I used a narrative prompt here, but I also tried a comma separated prompt, and Flux uses two interpreters, one for each type, so you can use any type you want. But as you can see, this particular picture, other than him having an extra finger on his bouquet hand, looks to me. I won't say what I think of its photorealism. I'll let you guys uh, uh, vote on that.
I would actually give credit to it, not for the extra finger, but his other hand wrapping around and showing.
Could be that. So,
But
Pete, this picture actually is pretty close. One hand is on her heart, and I think almost all of the
and
uh,
and you see the ring on her finger.
yes.
Pete wants to know about the ring. So she's got the ring. Um, and um, and Lee said that it would be a 10 from her, but the woman is not looking at the guy. That's right, because the guy that she really wants to marry is standing in the background on the other side of the hill, and she's waiting to throw the flowers away and run away with him,
But
like at the end of Mrs. Robinson.
I don't think we
Um,
specified that she should be looking at him in the prompt. So that could be fixed in two ways. You could specify that in the prompt, or you could in-paint her face to be looking down. So this is Flux, and this is run on Comfy UI. Again, at home. There are some online services for Flux, but when you use those, you will be censored. So
you will be censored, and also you don't get all of the negative prompts that you have. Can you explain what a negative prompt is?
sure. So when you're using Stable Diffusion and Flux, okay, through Comfy UI, you can add in a lot. There's way more settings and details that you can change and tweak. So one of the things you use is what's called a negative prompt. So a negative prompt is just basically what you don't want in the picture. So my negative prompt for this was unrealistic, hazy, blurry, anime, cartoon. It was a list of things to get rid of, ugly, morbid, things like that. Keywords where pictures that have those keywords would not be included as much in the generation. Excuse me.
Okay. Now, how about my how about Grok?
I do not have a Grok picture for us to use, but for a long time, Grok used Flux. Now they're using something called Aurora, and when I read up on it, I really couldn't find much information. I did find out that Grok does not censor some things, so you can make. Apparently, they don't allow sexual content, but you can make graphic content with Grok, and they don't have a problem with that. So I believe Harlan's picture on
Hold
the
on.
forums was made with Aurora through Grok.
See if we can.
Because, Pete, because I don't think I mentioned a ring, which I should have mentioned. So you have to remember that usually when we're prompting, okay, we're trying to get visual details. Sometimes, with this prompt that I took from ChatGPT, the man exudes sincerity and charm. If I was creating this prompt from scratch on my own, I probably wouldn't have said that. I would have put something like, the man has, a confident smile, or something a little more visual.
Okay. Let's, if you would stop sharing your screen,
Here we
I'm
go.
going to share mine. And can you see Grok? Can you see Grok on my
Yeah.
screen? It's a black screen. It says Grok. Okay, Harris, give me the prompt.
Ready?
Yeah, but we want the ring and the
Okay.
man kneeling. Let's see how it does.
Okay. A captivating, photorealistic scene. Cat capturing an emotional marriage proposal. Comma. Featuring a man on one knee.
A man kneeling
Sure. Holding a.
on one knee.
Are we going for flowers or flowers in the ring? Both.
Ring.
So holding a beautiful engagement ring.
Holding a beautiful engagement ring.
Period. The man exudes sincerity and charm.
The man exudes sincerity. Oh, hold on. I didn't tell him to create an image. Create an image of sincerity
And charm,
and charm.
comma, with a warm smile and a poised demeanor. period. Opposite him
Opposite him,
stands a woman looking into his eyes.
wearing,
Well, do we want to have her looking at him though?
well, woman looking
Into his eyes.
heartfully
Yes. Good.
into his eyes. I think they want, well, heart, did I say heartfully into his eyes?
With a radiant expression. Of surprise and joy. Comma, her hands clasped over her heart.
The woman is wearing a bright red dress. Okay, let's get the background.
What would you like in the background?
Um,
Keep it similar.
in the background,
Is a verdant city park.
okay, why don't we try that and see how it does?
That's pretty fast. A third one's pretty good. Can't see it too close from here. I don't know if the hand got a hand problem. Houston.
What do we call it when we want accurate?
Usually I put that in the negative prompt, bad hands and stuff. If you might be able to prompt, make sure they have perfect hands. I don't know if that works with Grok.
Make
Some of
sure there is correct hands and fingers.
is Grok free or do you have to pay for it?
Well, I have a Twitter account. I think they're letting people in.
You get 4 or 5 runs a day for free.
Okay, I don't know why she's kneeling too, but
So Grok used to use Flux, and they decided they wanted their own generator. So now they're using Aurora, which is I've never heard of it. I don't know much about it.
let's try opposite him. instead of stands a woman, is standing. Let's see how that does.
Now, wait. One extra thing you can do is somewhere where her clothes are described, describe her shoes, right? So you'll get more of her in the picture. You can oftentimes add an article of clothing or something that's being, like missed out, and that will sometimes help. So you can't really see her feet in any of these, and if you mentioned the shoes, she might stand. Oh, she's on her knees there. Yeah, that's so what's happening is that the prompt adherence is taking his kneeling and giving it to her. It's having trouble distinguishing.
I have never tried waiting, but how do
I
we
don't I
wait?
don't I don't I don't know if waiting works with it. You could try. Usually there's a different syntax for each program.
Well, let's try this.
So different models are good at different things. And so, for instance, Stable Diffusion 3 is really good at uh, like scenery and stuff like that, but it's not good at anatomy. It may be that Grok has things that it's really good at, and that, hands are not, its specialty. Seinfeld man hands.
Forget proposing marriage. Oh, well, let's do it. I guess they have this thing about kneeling of these. This is the best, except she has three hands.
So yeah, so it looks like Grok's new model just has some training issues, just like Stable Diffusion 3. Sometimes the new model comes out, right? And for whatever reason, because they're still learning how these models work, when they train it, sometimes things are not trained correctly. In addition, a lot of models now are trained to be, I guess we could call them safe. So they don't train on everything, including sometimes nudity or anatomy. And any artist trains on drawing bodies. You know, it's just
We
how they
actually got it, or at
got
least
it.
we got we got 3 of them.
All right, there we go. Nothing in painting couldn't fix. In painting could just do it, and you could do a little toot toot and fix that. Any hand problems there?
Okay, so let's take a look at the chat over here. How do you rate? We don't see the ring. Let's see if there are any that we see the ring. I think this one, that would be the ring on his hand. Give it a vote, folks. Give
So,
it a vote.
Pete, there was more than photorealistic added to those Midjourney pictures. Midjourney, sometimes the style fluctuates, and sometimes they'll come out more photorealistic than others. And I'm not sure why, other than I've read that Midjourney does not want people using it for deep fakes and things like that. So sometimes they make a photorealistic picture a little bit cartoony.
Yeah, so Scott says 8 to 9. Elizabeth says 9. Lee said I would like the ring in a black velvet box. We didn't specify that.
That would be in painting for sure. You're going to get
So
too many.
6, I don't like his hand. Charles, 8.9. Anyone else?
8.9.
Elizabeth. Jim, what do you think?
I'm going to give it an 8.5 myself.
What a tough crowd this is. Daniel said I don't like the facial expressions or the hand. Okay, well, I think her being surprised like that could be like she's not going to be posing, but okay. And the hands, to me, it looks like she's just really surprised. This is the best. We still need to see a ring. All right, well, let's see if this doesn't let us. Which one was that? That was this
Does it
one.
work like a GPT, or does it work only like an image generator?
Oh, it's a GPT too.
So you could try again, comma, add a box in his hand or something, you know. Sometimes LLMs will work that way. Almost.
She needs dental work. That's not bad of her lowering herself to like she looks
No.
happy.
Their hands look a little melded there.
Gosh, this is a tough audience. So let me stop this share and let me go over and show you what I was doing in Midjourney before we started. And one of the things that Harris was teaching about to me was about consistent characters. So here, a small, frail dog with matted fur and visible ribs, huddled in the corner of a dark, grimy kennel, the floor scattered with trash, dim lighting creating a somber atmosphere, 3D cartoon style, AR-16-9. This is the one that I like the best. So I made that my reference image, which we will talk about another time, reference images. And the nice thing now is that the dog is consistent from image to image. The only thing I got was like this dog over here that I didn't use, which like the dog's eyes are going up to heaven, like, okay, what's going on here? So here we have a rescuer in a bright yellow jacket entering a clutty, dirty hoarding site, surrounded by caged dogs, the frail dog cowering in the corner, a somber scene with muted colors, 3D cartoon style. And I think I chose this one. Okay, so now what I did was I did the rescuer kneeling down, but I left off, I gave the consistent image here, but I didn't say the rescuer in a yellow jacket. So it forgot the yellow jacket. I tried again. This time we got the dog. Perfect, not the jacket. We went back and we got the dog and the yellow jacket. Okay, next is the dog wrapped in a warm blanket. I made both characters the consistent image, and I think I
Does
need
an
to work on
okay
that one.
job with one picture. Sometimes you can take multiple pictures of your dog. Say that you make that dog, you use it to make other pictures of the dog that are similar, and then you can throw multiple images in for the consistency.
Yeah.
But again, Midjourney does a halfway decent job, but I do have one picture I can show you guys if you want to see something Midjourney made that's super photorealistic.
So I would take
What he's done.
this one, put it up there, and then
Now make sure on that picture you click on the three little boxes and click that character, the middle one, or the first one.
this could definitely be the picture. So now I just want the dog in the last picture. Go back and get
You
the
can also
dog.
click the one in the descriptions of the prompts. If you have the picture already loaded, see on the right under the prompt, you can click that too, and it'll put it up there. Yep.
Okay. And there we go. And now you have consistent characters. Um, can you do this in Flux? Can you do this in
So
Stable?
stable diffusion and flux have the best consistent uh, character generation because you can make a tiny model called a LoRa, which allows you to have the same character all the time without doing almost any effort. You just have to make the LoRa or find the LoRa. So there's a lot of things you can do with those two programs you can't do with the others, but they do have a higher learning curve. So um, Midjourney makes some pretty photorealistic stuff too, though. When you're done showing this one, I just want to show one quick picture to everyone so they can see.
Okay, I will stop sharing.
So here was one that I was making on Midjourney that really came out really good, and it's modeled after the 1980s Ralph Lauren style of photography, and you know it's very the light shining. It has a little tiny bit of pixelation here and there, but you can even see the horse's hair. So sometimes Midjourney will come out with extremely photorealistic results. It just depends on how you prompt it. So I don't know how you guys would rate that picture on photorealism.
I think, well, what do you think? What do you think of this picture? Scott gave you an 11. Oh boy.
Well, he gave Midjourney an 11, not me.
Elizabeth gave you a 10. Charles gave you a 9.8. Pete is tough. He gave you an 8. Lee says 10. Pete says, how come the horse doesn't have a ring?
So, in my opinion, Midjourney is probably the one that your typical user would use to get really good pictures without having a lot of technical ability, whereas Stable Diffusion and Flux could take you to the next level, but you have to have a decent computer and then be willing to put in a little time learning prompting, negative prompts, different models. There's a little more to it. That would be my opinion as someone who works with all of this.
Okay. So, guys, you can see that with all of the models, you get different results, and you might have to play with them. For most folks, unless you get Stable Diffusion and really learn how to use it, or Flux and really learn how to use it, Midjourney for right now is probably, because of weighting and consistent images, the way you want to go. We will see where Aurora goes, meaning Grok. There are a whole bunch of other image generating services, but they are basically tapping into Flux APIs. Are we still aiming to do 5-second photos in our niche? The answer is, with a voiceover, like in the webinar, the answer is yes. You're talking about for the AI agency videos. You want to do 5 seconds because people have really short attention spans. And if you do a 10-second one, it's a lot. So I have, if we go back to my Midjourney.
And by the way, all of the
I
videos
have,
in
hold
that
on there,
course,
buddy.
sure.
So I have picture number 1, picture number 2, picture number 3, picture number 4, Picture number 5. Picture number 6. I have 30 seconds of video. 30 seconds of video here. And so understand, if you want to do longer videos, it's a lot more imaging. It's a lot more imaging. Any comments, Harris?
Yes, all of the videos that we did for that AI agency, they all started with Midjourney pictures. I didn't use Flux for that because I wanted it to come out the way it would come out with the generator that most people would probably be using. So almost all of those, if not all of those pictures, were Midjourney images that were then put into the video creator that made the videos. Also, when you make 10-second videos, the AI has trouble keeping it like together as well. So the 5-second video, you might have your person in your video, she might be laughing and talking. Well, if you make it 10 seconds, she might be laughing and talking, but then go like this and her hand will be messed up. Or once you get past the 5 to 10 second section is harder for the computer to make than the first to fifth second. And I'm not totally sure why, but it's just how the video models work right now.
Okay. We are, again, 10 seconds is a lot for people to hold attention. It's a lot for people to hold attention. All right. I hope you guys learned something tonight. We will make this available to you. Thank you, Harris, for doing all of the work. And thank you especially for substituting flowers for a ring. That was an innovative, approach to reducing carbon footprints, so they don't have to run the furnaces to shape the ring. That was mighty, mighty fine of you.
I tried my best.
All right. Take care, everybody. I got
Right.
Pete to laugh. He wants to see a ring. Somebody here. See, I have a ring, Pete. Does that make you happy? Okay. We're good. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Well.